Welcome back everyone to the Coalition of Friends YouTube channel. My name is Garrett and today I'm bringing you a review for Halloween. No, not the 1978 version. No, not the Rob Zombie movie. It's the 2018 reboot slash sequel to the original that skips all the movies in between. And I cannot wait to talk about this, so let's just jump right into it. Also, spoilers for this movie. If you haven't seen it, you should really go watch it. It's a lot of fun. If you don't care about spoilers, keep watching. This movie is fucking terrifying. It is so scary every time I watch it. I can watch it over and over again, and the same jump scares will get me every single time. The best scare for me is at the end of the movie in the mannequin room, and Laurie is like looking through everything, and then Michael just pops out behind one of them. Fuck, it's so scary. Speaking of the scares, this movie is insanely graphic. It is fucking awesome. I think my favorite kill, other than one I'll get into later, which thankful it happens, is during the one long take that happens. And it's an insane long take. It's very reminiscent of the 1978 film. This is when it feels most like that movie. When we're on Halloween night, everyone's trick-or-treating. I really love how much choreography there has to be, and like making sure all the extras know what they're doing at the same time. You know, all the ones that are like looking around and trick-or-treating and things. We did meet a couple, and I think they're in the trailer for Halloween Kills, that I thought Michael was going to kill them then, but he just stares at them for a little bit during this long shot. Once they drive away, Michael like looks into this window at another house, and this lady's on the phone. He walks around, you see him walking around the other side of the house because his camera stays at this window for the rest of this shot. And you see him walking around, and then his shadow is big on the building next to it because of the lighting. And she comes forward to close the blinds, and Michael like walks up right behind her, grabs her by the hair, and just shoves his knife through her neck. It is amazing. If there's any film that revitalizes the slasher genre in modern times, it's this movie. It's perfect in its slasherness. All of the scares are great. All of the kills are good. There weren't any jump scares that I was like, oh fuck, why would you put this in your movie? It's annoying. The sound design for all the scares is really great. Of course, you have your three leads in this movie played by Jamie Lee Curtis, Judy, Greer, and Andi Matichak. I'm really sorry if I mispronounced that last one. These three are so good in this movie. I don't know about Judy Greer exactly in the beginning of the film. She feels a little bit deadpan to me. Doesn't feel like she's into the movie as much, but when we get to that third act, she is great. She lives onto her namesake Karen in this one scene when she's like wanting her daughter to come back and everything, and she's yelling at these police officers. It feels very intentional she was named Karen. And then Andi Matichak, like I said, who plays Allison, is a great teenage protagonist in this film. I love a difference in this movie where when she is screaming for help and at these houses, they do help her. I mean, at this point, we have had a couple kills, but they help her. They didn't help Laurie in the first movie, and I like that difference. My favorite characters in this movie, however, are Vicky, Julian, and Dave. They're played by Vicky Gardner, Jabril Natambu, and Miles Robbins, respectively. They all have great chemistry with each other, especially Vicky and Julian as characters. Vicky is Julian's babysitter. They have a good back and forth of like, I can tell you on this, or I can tell you on that. The chemistry is so real. Like, these feel like real characters. Mostly everyone in this movie does. The cops that are outside Laurie Strode's house talking about sandwiches, that's really funny, really original dialogue. Now, I hinted at this in the 1978 Halloween review, but I want to talk about it more so in this movie because there are more characters that involve this theme I think the movies go for, the original and this 2018 film. The way it comes across is that the writers believe there isn't good in the world because the boogeyman, Michael Myers, will always show up and there's always evil to make the good disappear. In the 1978 movie, Laurie for the entire film believes the boogeyman doesn't exist, that evil isn't real, and she's proven wrong in an awful way. She loses all her friends. She's almost killed herself many times. It's truly horrific and traumatic what she goes through. She's left to complete tears and this empty shell of a human being at the end of the first movie. And in the 2018 film, we see how that trauma affected her. She can't lead a normal life. She's a bit of a hermit. She's super overprotective. Does some really fucked up things to her daughter, which you really shouldn't do to an 8 to 12-year-old. Not okay at all to any child of any age. And her daughter, Karen, has this outlook of love and understanding in the world, that everyone is compassionate, and this evil that Laurie is saying exists in the form of Michael Myers, it's not real. Michael was just a one crazy person who just killed a lot of people. And this movie shows how wrong Karen is. Allison's boyfriend, her boyfriend's friend trying to come on to her when she dumps the boyfriend. Michael himself, the podcasters in one way, they're a bit exploitative with the situation. Sartain is evil in the end for some fucking reason I'll talk about later. Karen also loses her husband, though she doesn't really get to know she loses her husband in this movie. Everything in that third act kind of moves really fast. So Laurie never tells that Ray is dead. It's a little bit script issues glossing over that. I hope they give a moment of silence to her husband in Halloween Kills. But I really don't know where the point across is getting to that there's just evil in this world and that good doesn't exist. I hope they'll go into this theme in the second and third movies and show that, no, good can overcome this evil. I know that sounds a little bit cliche, but if Michael is this seriously scary person, we can defeat him, and it's possible to do that. So technically this movie, I really like how it's shot. It's original in its own sense. It has its own style. It has a lot of quick cuts here and there that the original 1978 film does not. That was more put the camera in one place, we'll deal with it. This is more of a modern film, if you want to say that. I said in the 1978 review that I think Michael has a little bit of like mystical stuff into it. Let me explain why. In the opening scene of this movie, the podcasters arrive at the place Elms Grove, I think he's held at. It might be somewhere different, or Grove, something, I don't know. The point is, they go to interview Michael at his spot and try to get him to react to this mask. And the way Michael's body, it shifts a little bit when the mask is brought out. And all of the other patients that are there, the dog, they start going bonkers crazy. And I think that they can feel how evil Michael is more than a normal person, because they are either not normal themselves, or they're a puppy who's sweet and knows between good and bad. And the little puppy's so cute, even though he's a scary German Shepherd. Also in this scene, I have a nitpick. It's so nitpicky. For context, this is when the podcasters are at the place where Michael is being held at, and they're trying to get a rise out of him, and they're using a tiny little recording device to record all of their sound for their podcast. They show that there's a wind, and you can hear the wind in the sound design of the film. The podcast lady is so far away from the dude, one, and the amount of wind that's going by would pick up no sound whatsoever other than just like the sound of wind going into something. And it's useless, it's pointless. Why not have like this big boomstick that could actually get what he's saying next to him? I know that would look fucking stupid and not as stylistic as they want this opening to be, but it would make more sense than what the characters are currently doing. And then after that, you get this super awesome opening credits scene, a little bit more of a modern version of the score from the 78 film. I really like the addition of a bass into it, that beat that goes on. It's fun to listen to with headphones in, which I do watch movies with headphones in, just so I can hear that full sound design going on. And you have the decomposing pumpkin, but it's shown backwards after it's already fully decomposed, so that you have like Michael coming back from the dead, and then you zoom in and they really show it is Michael Myers in this pumpkin. You can't miss it. They actually like outlined his head as the eye of the pumpkin. It's more intentional this time rather than that first movie. And this feels like the main event. I know the 78 film is a full movie. That feels like a prequel to this. And this is like the meat and bones of the story, because there's an actual story here. There's character arcs. There's a fun family drama mixed into it between Laurie, Karen, and Allison. Allison knows her mother's lying to her and really doesn't trust her that much. Karen doesn't trust her mother at all for how her childhood was. And she says, quote, her childhood so much, it's really fucking annoying. Allison also understands Laurie and empathizes with her, is there for her when she cries in the restaurant. Their dynamic is really sweet. Laurie's goals in this film are to protect her family and to kill Michael Myers. What happens to her, I don't think she really cares about, because she just wants this evil to go away and not exist anymore. Okay, let's talk about why this movie isn't perfect. Sartain is a waste of time on screen. He's a shitty character. I wish he just died when the kid shot him in the bus. That would have made more sense than the twist we have with him being evil and wanting to know what it feels like when Michael kills someone, so he wants to, like, bring Michael to Laurie and set them off on one another. And he kills Hawkins, the police officer, who I really liked. There's this dynamic between him and Laurie that we don't get much into. I wish we could have seen that in the sequel more, just so that Laurie has someone on the police force who's wanting to help her, understands exactly what she went through, because as they say in this movie, he was one of the first people that responded to the scene and captured Michael the night in 1978. The podcaster's death scene is really fun. Not their death so much. I think it's really creepy when Michael drops the teeth from the guy at the counter, that we see his jaw like completely fucking mangled. In the background of this shot, you see Michael arrive, you see Michael walking around. It's very much of the original 1978 aesthetic, where Michael's just in the background everywhere, and we're focused on our main character, but if you look far behind them, you get that tension, you get the suspense of this scene that Michael is here. Shit is gonna go down. The boyfriend character, Cameron, sucks. He's the son of Lonnie, I believe, from the first movie. That's one of the kids that bullies Tommy, that Loomis ends up scaring when they're trying to walk up to the Myers house. He's in the trailer for Halloween Kills, and there's two things I would like to happen. One, I hope he dies because he does some shitty stuff in this 2018 film, or there's a character arc for him and he changes. He becomes a better person. He becomes different than his father, because Ray, Allison's dad, just says, no, he's going to be the same as Lonnie. There's no changing him from his parents. So why even be with him? If they want to go the nihilistic route, not really nihilistic, but if they want to go to the negative route, they could just make him like his father. Or they could make these movies deeper and have him change as a character, because we just leave him at the party in this movie. I will say Sartain has a great death. It is so fun. I'm not going to spoil it, but it's one that is cool to see and feels satisfying because I hate this fucking person. In the end, this is a super fun, scary, rewatchable movie. I get scared every time I see this movie. It's so good. It's super scary with tons of great deaths. The actors are fantastic in each of their roles. There's well-written original dialogue that makes you care for these characters and feel sad when they die. It's a film that has its own stylistic approach, but it also makes visual nods to the original 78 film that allows this movie to exist. So it's kind of an homage, but it's doing its own thing at the same time. It is a perfect sequel slash reboot that revitalizes a dead franchise. What ruins the film for me is the Sartain twist. It grinds it to a halt, and those scenes are so slow, and I really don't care what he's doing. I just want to get to the next scene. I would fast forward through this scene if I watched it again. Thankfully, that's very short-lived. There's only 2 scenes where he's like an antagonist in the movie. And then we enter a fucking badass third act that is gonna live down as one of the best in horror for me. Then, if you listen at the end of this credits, you hear Michael's breathing, letting us know he's alive, setting us up for Halloween Kills. People, this movie is so much fun. I can't give this enough credit. as to how successful it is at revitalizing a franchise that became a joke. So I'm gonna give Halloween 2018 an 8 out of 10. Blame Sartain for that. That's why it's that score. In the end, if you like this video, give a like. If you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye-bye! I realized I didn't talk about Laurie a lot through this review, so I'll talk about it in this end scene. There's the subscribe button up there, or video right above me. You should go watch that one. I don't know what it's about, but go watch it anyways. Laurie is very truthful in this movie. She says what's on her mind. When she's talking with the podcasters, she could just lie to them, but no, she's very truthful, and I like that about her. She's insanely badass in this movie, and I kind of like the change where she runs away from danger in the first movie, and in this one, she's actively running towards it. She wants danger to happen so that she can be able to end the evil that's there. So I really, really like what they did with Laurie, and Jamie Lee Curtis is perfect as her. As always, she's amazing as an actress. My goodness, so good.